For more on this, we'll go now to John Ackerman. He's a law professor and political commentator out of Mexico City. John, good to see you. Thank you for being with us today. First, can you tell us about the significance of this Lopez Obrador's victory in Mexico?
It has major historic significance. Lopez Obrador has been struggling to get to the presidency for about 18 years now. He's been on the campaign trail, campaigning and trying to convince the Mexican citizens to have a change. This hasn't happened. And even before Lopez Obrador, for the last 30 years, Mexico has been stuck in one ideological side of the political spectrum. And while the rest of Latin America has been shifting towards the left, experimenting with progressive governments, Mexico has been stuck in the same place for the last 30 years with this neoliberal policies. So this is really the first time Mexico is going to have a progressive government for decades, probably since 1940. And this is also a very significant thing for the rest of Latin America, because precisely in Latin America what we're getting is a backfiring or a reconquest of power of the right against the left, and so now Mexico is going the other way. So this is also should be an inspiration to the rest of countries in Latin America and South America.
And for the American audience, correct me if I'm wrong, but Obrador is similar, I guess, in a sense, to Bernie Sanders maybe, but with a little bit of the drain the swamp vibe. But he's also been compared to President Trump in that his platform is much more nationalistic than previous presidents. Given this, how do you see the cross-border relationship between Mexico and the U.S. going forward?
Well, from my point of view, there really are no similarities between Donald Trump and Lopez Obrador. There might be some with Sanders, because they're on the left. They do have a progressive agenda for national development, and they have a progressive vision of international affairs. But there's nothing similar between Trump and Lopez Obrador. So Trump is intolerant, relatively ignorant, while Lopez Obrador is very tolerant, very rational, very well-read, a very cultured and sophisticated, reasonable and responsible leader. So I think that's going to help in terms of the relationship between Trump and Lopez Obrador. Lopez Obrador is going to come in with a great mandate, with a great support of his people, and that's going to give him a real bargaining position, a strong bargaining position with Trump, but without sort of leading to conflict. I don't think we're going to have any kind of conflict between the two. I think we'll have a serious negotiation between both sides about key issues that involve Mexico and North America.
And the description you gave of Donald Trump just now, it's a very interesting perspective to hear the international description of what people think of the new U.S. president. But on a more serious note, for Mexico's election, this was a very bloody election with more than 100 politicians killed up to the lead-up. Given the rampant corruption in politics there, how reliable are the results of Lopez Obrador's win?
Well, there was a lot of questioning, a lot of doubts about whether there might be a fraud this past Sunday because of the violence, because of the collapse of institutions, because of the censorship and attack against the free press and against social movements. But the citizen participation was so vast that this kind of washed away these attempts at fraud, which did exist at the local level particularly. Lopez Obrador won 2-1 over his second place and 3-1 over the third place. And so this was a very clear, a very striking, historic win. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to have absolute control over the country, and we're going to have to see to what extent he's going to be able to put together a coalition to attend to these key issues of violence, of corruption, of economic stagnation. It's not going to be easy.
And President Trump told American press over the weekend that he would hold off on signing a new NAFTA until after the November midterm elections here. Now, with the election of Lopez Obrador, how might this change the trade relationship?
Well, I think that makes sense. I realize that Trump is thinking about domestic politics, but it also makes sense from the Mexican side of the point of view, because Lopez Obrador is going to come into power on December 1st. So we'll have a new legislature in the United States, a new president in Mexico, and we'll be able to start up again on this binational relationships. Now, Lopez Obrador is in favor of NAFTA. He wants to take advantage of the renegotiation of NAFTA to make NAFTA work for the working people, for economic development in Mexico and also in the United States. So I think we might be able to have some understanding between the two countries. You know, Trump is trying to provoke Mexico into sort of radical positions. I don't think Lopez Obrador is going to have to do that because he's going to have such a support of his people, and because there's so many Mexicans in the United States, it's going to be increasingly hard for Trump to really grab Mexico and Mexican immigrants as his punching bag, or as Lopez Obrador says, as his piñata. So Lopez Obrador is going to stand up for Mexico, but it's not going to sort of do this kind of brinkmanship, I don't think.
All right, so we'll leave it right there, and we'll wait and see until the fall if they can come to a new agreement over NAFTA. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise insight with us, John Ackerman, law professor and political commentator out of Mexico City.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.